But that is what you know. Just like you said, it took time for you, and even still, 11 years later, there are so many people out there that are still dealing with this, and that is what we hope by the end of tonight's program is that we can talk about this and we can have conversations about this, and that we can bring about a sense of healing. Mr. David Alexandra, I thank you so much for joining us tonight, sir, and I hope that your appearance on tonight's tribute show brought about some sense of healing and some sense of comfort for you, sir.
Okay, thank you. And time is the only healing process that I need. Time, and just think, and just thank God that it could have been worse, but it wasn't. You know, God is. It made me reach closer to God than ever, more than ever. That's all. So glad to be on the show, and hopefully this tribute will give healing to others. You know, we all heal at different times, different lengths. Some of us take shorter time, some of us a longer time. But it's something that's part of life, and we have to work with it. You know, there's so many things in life that cause us distress and pain and hurt, and it's hard. It's not an easy thing, and each of us handle it differently. I just hope that we remember, but in the process of remembering, that we come together and remember that it shall never happen again. It shall never happen again to anyone.
And we certainly hope that it doesn't. David Alexander from South Carolina, thank you so much for joining with us. And we will be right back here on 91.9 FM, WLJS Jacksonville. This is the Late Night with Ed Moore III, Season 3 premiere, a tribute to 9/11.
You looked at me and saw what I never could see. You made me be more than I thought I could ever be. And when I needed a friend, you were always there to lift me up, to make me strong. You're not gone, you're still here with me all the time. You're still here. When I close my eyes, I still see you, I still feel you, and we'll never be apart. You're still here in my heart, in my heart. It's 'cause of you I knew how it felt to be loved. Oh, you made me feel beautiful, 'cause you believe I was. And I will never forget how you touched my life. You made me feel like I belong. You live on, you're still here with me all the time. You're still here. When I close my eyes, I still see you, I still feel you, and we'll never be apart. You're still here in my heart. Oh, you're my life. You'll be in my life. You'll be part of me. I'll just think of you, and you'll be still here with me all the time. Oh, you're still here. When I close my eyes, I feel you, and we'll never be apart. You're still here in my heart, in my heart, still here, still here. Oh, oh, yeah.
23 minutes past the hour here on 91.9 FM, WLJS, Jacksonville. That's another song that speaks to me, Still Here by Jennifer Hudson. And that is one thing that we can never forget, that all the victims from September 11th, the 9/11 attacks, you're still here. You are still here in our hearts. And you will never, ever, ever be forgotten. I have here in the studio with me a mother who knows 9/11 all too well. A mother who had to wake up one morning and discover that one of her own, her children, was now gone. I have here Miss Pearl Williams, who is a resident of Jacksonville, Alabama, here where we're broadcasting live from worldwide. She's going to speak to us about her day, that day on Tuesday, September 11th, how she's coped with it, how she's coped with the loss of her son, 23-year-old Dwayne Williams, who died at the Pentagon, and her message for all the other Americans struggling to cope, struggling to heal. Hello, Miss Williams, and welcome to WLJS Studios. It is such a pleasure. It's such a pleasure to have you here.
Well, thank you. It's wonderful being here.
I'm so glad to have you, and I'm so honored and I'm so humbled to be in your presence at this time. And I had the chance to meet Pearl briefly yesterday before her arrival, her appearance on the show today. I wanted a chance to see her, to see this woman, this strong, brave woman for myself. Wanted to hug her and just look at her and get a glimpse of what strength and what bravery looks like. And it is here. It's here tonight on the Late Night with Ed Moore III show. Miss Williams, if you can you please just take us through that day of the morning of Tuesday, September 11th, 2001?
Well, actually, I'll go back further, about 5 months. My story began one night when I had a nightmare. I woke up screaming and shouting and didn't know what was happening to me. My spirit became downcast. And finally, I went to work, and people who knew me knew that I was not myself. Well, Dwayne called me. My son, Major Dwayne Williams, was stationed at the Pentagon. Actually, when he called me, he was at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, attending the Army Command General College. So he called me one night, and told me that he had gotten an assignment at the Pentagon, and he was very excited. I didn't know why I was feeling bad or feeling sad, but when he got this assignment, I knew then that's what my dream was about. He decided to drive his family from Fort Leavenworth, Kansas to Washington, D.C., with stops along the way. At each of the stops, he called me, and the closer he got to Washington, D.C., the more intense my sorrow became. There was a spirit of impending doom, as if he was going to his death. After he arrived in Washington, D.C. in August, he checked into the Pentagon Worked there 5 weeks before he was killed. 5 weeks. On the morning of 9/11, I got up, still feeling downcast, sad. I was very slow about going to work that morning. Something just did not feel right. When I got to work, everyone was gathered around the TV, and they told me that a plane had hit one of the Twin Towers. Like them, I was, wondering what is going on. And so when the second plane hit the other tower, then we knew that we were under attack. I remember running back to my office. One of my sons, is a reporter at the Birmingham News. And I called him, asked him to let me know what was going on. When I walked back out to the TV again, I heard them say that the Pentagon had been attacked. And it's then I knew precisely that my son was dead, that's what my dream was all about. I left work and went home to wait by the phone, hoping that Dwayne would call me to let me know that he was okay. But deep down inside, I had a feeling that he was dead. A mother can feel when things are not right with her child. So I got home. Friends and family began to come around to console me after word got out that Dwayne had worked at the Pentagon. Throughout the afternoon, I continued to pray that the phone would ring, and it never did. The following morning, on September the 12th, a chaplain from Redstone, Arsenal, Alabama, knocked on my door. And I stood there frozen in time, dreading to hear the words, "Your son is dead." He told me that Dwayne was missing. That's all he could tell me. And I said, "What do you mean he's missing?" And he said he's not where he was supposed to be. And the following day, I had another son who was at Fort Hugo, Arizona. And he flew out to D.C. to try to get some answers, to check the hospitals. Word became very difficult to get as far as where my son was. My son in Washington, who had gone to Washington, D.C., sat through several briefings, waiting for word of Dwayne's whereabouts. On the 14th of September, I flew to Washington to see for myself. And when I arrived, there were several briefings that I sat to also, hoping that I would hear something about my son. They eventually asked family members to give blood for DNA testing, and I did. 3 days later, my son's body was identified. He had been flown to Dover, Delaware. And I began the long drive home, a very long drive home. There were numerous memorial services. I returned to Washington, D.C. again. And the Pentagon, this was 2 weeks after the Pentagon had been attacked. The Pentagon made arrangements for families who wanted to visit the site to go. I decided I was going. I had to see where my son had died. My other sons who were alive did not want me to go, but that's something that I had to do. I had to see it for myself. I boarded along with other family members. There were about 7 buses of us who drove to the site. As the buses